Why are we so fucking curious to understand why people are the way that they are?
Because the human mind will always seek an explanation. It is our tendency to always fill in the gaps. If we don't understand someone's personality or why they respond to things the way they do, we will always need to understand that.
So I think that real curiosity, honest curiosity, then is really a trait of the empathetic. That's fucking huge.
Yeah, that's pretty huge. That's the best way I've ever heard it explained.
So they want to understand why you're gay, they want to understand why you're biased, why you're religious.
If they seek to understand without judgment. If they ask questions with judgment, it's to put you on the defense versus I'm genuinely trying to understand.
People that don't give a single shit don't care to understand why you are the way that you are. So the less they care, the worse they are about reading body language of others, and they're almost always shittier in their emotional intelligence.
And that's what we call a breakthrough.
We could be up our own asses about this, but I feel like this is accurate. And we only came to this conclusion based on our observations of patterns of other people.
I think being empathetic means you tend to also seek out the best qualities in people, or at least understand them so you can accept them for who they are. If someone is just 100% toxic, you avoid them.
Yeah.
But there's a reason you keep a lot of people in your life that are predominantly negative or selfish or even maybe a little bit narcissistic. There's something good there, and only if you're genuinely empathetic can you appreciate the good qualities about them. This is controversial, but I don't personally really like the word empathy. I prefer compassion. One of my favorite books, Radical Candor, they talk about the difference. So empathy is walking down the road, you see your friend trapped under a giant rock. And it's, oh my gosh, that must be so terrible. I understand what you're going through. Compassion is, you're trapped under a rock. Let me help get you out from under the rock. So compassion is action.
Compassion is action.
I mean, let's talk about sympathy for a second. I think sympathy is the worst possible trait. Someone is starving and you say, that's so terrible. I bet you wish you had a sandwich. But you're not doing anything to relate or just putting a spotlight on their feeling.
You're so fucking hungry. I'll bet you're famished.
Without the emotional intelligence piece of it, your intentions are good. You're trying to fix their situation, but you're pushing it too hard.
So many instances when an individual has such a strong desire to help that they will force their will on somebody, and they become that person's abuser because of that mindset.
More of a pursuer.
I only learned that I was a pursuer in therapy. That's super fucking important. Explain.
I learned that I'm a withdrawer. Tell me what's wrong, let me fix it, force a solution. That's a pursuer, and a withdrawer will need time, so they will go more withdrawn, potentially be pushed away by the pursuer, but they don't have the ability to read the cues that what they're doing is driving the other person away.
Did you all just fucking hear that? So what makes a person feel they know better than others enough to force their will on them?
I think it's a lack of self-awareness, and you're probably a narcissist.
Okay, so what's an easy example of that then for anybody who's watching this?
So if you're in a room with 100 people, bring the microphone in for this one. If you're in a room with 100 people and they all say you're wrong about something,
Preach, baby.
and you can still justify to yourself that you were right and 100 of those people are wrong, you are a narcissist.
You heard it. Boy, do we have some bitches who are perfect examples of that. Total narcissists able to justify any fucked up thing they do and only affected by the influential enablers in their life.
A narcissist is surrounded by enablers. They are sympathetic towards their situation or their behavior, or they coddle, but typically the creator of the behavior could potentially be the only one to be the solution.
Holy shit.
So for example, one of these little bitches that you're talking about, if their dad, total random example, just they're trying to seek their approval or they're not around, their dad probably could only be the one to say, be self-aware, you're acting like a moron. That would be the only person that could potentially reach them, because they might be the key as to why they are the way they are. And you know, that's not based on science, that's just my opinion, but we've known enough to know that's typically the source. The creator of the problem is usually the solution.
So maybe that's why it's so important for those people to hold them accountable so they can break their own generational curses.
Yep.
I mean, I hope something terrible happens to them, but yeah, like mildly terrible, but you know.
If someone is terrible, that's pretty subjective. But if they're a terrible person, they hurt other people, and they have no contribution to the world. They're takers, not givers. They're the selfie takers, the gimme validation, gimme attention, gimme praise, but they don't give any of it back. Tell me I'm right, tell me I'm important, tell me I'm special. And in a way, I'm sort of jealous of those people because being self-aware and seeking to understand why other people are the way they are, it's confounding.
And see, I didn't possess that level of emotional intelligence that you're talking about until you brought me online.
But narcissists aren't concerned with anyone else. They have walls around themselves, their thoughts, and why they're always right, and it's impenetrable. There's no way to reason with them.
So narcissism is a lack of EQ, and curiosity is a sign of compassion and empathy. Two opposite sides of the spectrum completely.
Yep, absolutely. They're opposite each other. Do I look like a podcaster or do I look like a DJ? This is the 6 o'clock news and I'm your host, Sugar Boobs.
God damn you,
is it recording?
Glasses. Fucking send you to detention.
It's not addictive.
It's
non-habit. Shit around.
Sounds expansive.
And I feel like podcasters always wear headphones. DJ spits.
What does it smell like?
Just some outtakes, you know.